and gentlemen, welcome to episode 109 of the MTB podcast, presented and hosted by Worldwide Cyclery. I am Jared.
I'm Liam.
And I'm Jeff. In this episode, we're going to discuss the new SRAM transmission and stealth brakes, Liam's trip to Taiwan for the Taipei Cycle Show, as well as listener questions ranging from does stanchion diameter matter, bad habits on clipless pedals, how to become a bike mechanic, and much, much more.
So much more.
The usual stuff that will entertain and educate you mountain bikers to learn even more about mountain bike stuff.
Did you say entertain? You get that part?
I think I said entertain.
You did.
Well, we will attempt to entertain. That's subjective.
Like all of our mountain bike content, there's always a good dose of entertainment value and educational value.
Yeah.
Some people think it's funny, mostly our moms.
Speaking of entertainment value, how about a sound effect? That was maybe just me that I was entertained by that.
You entertain yourself.
Yeah, I do.
Perfect.
Jared definitely laughs at his own jokes a lot.
Hey, man.
Laughs at everything. It's a good way to be.
If you're not your own biggest fan, who's going to be? No, I'm just kidding. My girlfriend is my biggest fan, and she has proclaimed that many times.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mom.
Glad you got two in your corner.
Thank you.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
One you lived with for 18 years and the other one you currently live with.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well,
all right.
Speaking of fun.
SRAM's transmission.
Yeah.
We made a YouTube video on that, like many people did. I think a lot of people have seen this. Like if you look at all the various YouTube videos and stuff that's going around social media, this is SRAM. So when they come out with a really important flagship new drivetrain product, they kind of do everything in their power to make sure every possible person who ever ridden a bike hears about it.
Yeah.
I think they succeeded in this one.
Definitely.
And if you haven't heard about it,
get out from under that rock.
Yeah.
No, they're not under a rock because they're listening to the Mountain Bike Podcast. So
True.
That's their news source. So
yeah, or they're not into
good
social
on you.
media.
Yeah, good on you for not wasting your time on social media.
Or they've heard it a million times and they're like, I'm sick of hearing about the SRAM transmission.
It is pretty cool. I think people will find it a lot more cool once they ride it. Like it looks good, the concept's good, doesn't use a derailleur hanger. It's a hard thing to talk about on a podcast, so if you get a chance and you haven't seen our YouTube video, go to YouTube's and take a look at that. But essentially, SRAM, how many years ago did they come out with UDH, the Universal Derailleur Hanger?
I believe
like
3.
Yeah, 2020.
3-ish years ago.
I thought it was more than that.
4 at the most, but I believe it was 3. They might have announced it 4 years ago, but bikes didn't start coming with it till a bit later on, right?
Yeah, because derailleur hangers have always been a problem. They're all different fitments for all these different brands, and that's a total nightmare to begin with. And it's kind of just a strange idea and design that was never really that good. SRAM decided to say, hey, why don't we just make a universal one? And all of the bike brands can use this, use our design. It's open. Here's the information. Everyone, I wouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people, all the prominent brands, almost everyone started adopting this UDH, Universal Derailleur Hanger. And it works great. It was super convenient because then there was just a lot less, different hangers out there. Turns out it was a long-term plan for SRAM to then go, hey, guess what? That same design that you made to fit this UDH on your frame, now our derailleur mounts directly to that. So we don't even need the hanger anymore.
Yeah, which I'm sure SRAM probably told these brands 3-4 years ago that said, hey, we're going to make a drivetrain that works to this. So if you want it to work, have your frame spec the UDH.
Yeah, and I saw somewhere in like a Q&A where they've been working on the transmission for like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So they definitely already had that in mind when
it was supposed to come out last year and they just held off because, COVID
Smart
stuff.
Turmoil.
Yeah.
Yep.
But speaking of hangers, just a quick note. I remember being so frustrated trying to get hangers in the normal shop and just looking up hangers on Wheels Manufacturing and trying to match the hangers to the one I pulled off this road bike.
It's insane, yeah. Anyone who's ever worked in a bike shop knows the derailleur hanger nightmare.
And then brands would change from like model year and it'd be like, why did you change? Like the spec was barely even different, but it doesn't work anymore. So like the 2009 Roubaix doesn't work with the 2010 Roubaix and so on. And I just remember having a hanger wall of just hangers.
Yeah,
And
well,
it was
so
like,
Wheels Manufacturing, for whatever reason, decided to take that challenge on years and years
Yeah.
ago, and they machine basically every hanger for every bike ever, and have it in this massive database. And they were shipping these, which we had one. I'm sure you did too. These massive posters.
Oh, yeah.
They were probably 3 feet by 4 feet, a poster with all of their hangers. And they were printed in actual size. So when you're a bike mechanic, you had whatever hanger from whatever bike, and you could go to it and
Wow.
put it up there as if it was a puzzle piece. Is it this one? Is it that one? Is it 4297? Oh,
Yeah.
no. It's 3278.
Someone-
I think it's 3278.
someone would be the same but have like a little notch. It's like, oh my gosh.
it was crazy.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
It makes you
So-
wonder. Yeah, well, gosh, why would anybody want to get rid of the derailleur hanger? It's like, well,
Well, not only, I mean, not just get rid of it, but like making a universal
and
one
make it
is
universal.
so nice. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as that came out, I was like, wow, that's a standard that everyone will get behind.
yeah.
And now, moving forward, your derailleur mounts directly to the frame.
It's like this
Incredible.
probably should have been done at the beginning, like the inception of the bicycle. Like, let's make one standard part to hold the derailleur
Yeah.
to the bike. Not like everybody come up with your own.
Yeah, it was hard because there was a lot of different axle configurations.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's what made it harder. You know, bikes kind of
Yeah.
came from road, and they had those QR axles, and then they had the 12 by 142, and then it went to 12 by 148.
True,
So-
yeah.
You also have mountain bikes, which need a more robust hanger, and road bikes, which are worried about weight and don't really need a robust one. So,
But now a lot of road bikes are coming with UDH too, right? I mean,
starting to. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say a lot, but I'd say they're trickling.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so SRAM's new transmission, obviously the most common question that appeared everywhere is that the derailleur, you know, because it sort of looks like a vice grip a little bit, clamps directly onto the frame. Everyone thought, well, the whole point of that hanger was so that when you crash on the right side of your bike, your hanger bends and you don't damage your frame or your derailleur, and you just damage your $25 hanger. So that was kind of like the reason the derailleur hanger existed. Now it's gone and the derailleur mounts directly there. Everyone thought, well, I'm either going to damage my derailleur or damage my frame or both. So this is a terrible design. Well, it turns out, yes, SRAM thought of that. That's not really ever going to happen.
Yeah.
You guys made I was on vacation when I saw the video, and I was like, "Yeah, you guys nailed it!" I was very proud of you guys. You made that video. Whose foot was
That was
that?
Trevor
It was
jumping
Trevor's
up and
foot.
down on that.
Yeah.
He was like, it was all of his weight, just to be clear. Like, people are like, oh, you got to
Yeah.
hold on to something. Like, he was ginger. Like, no, he was full on, all of his weight. He's like probably almost
Yeah.
200 pounds, like jumping on it. And then, yeah, like I put
it
it in the
just
stand
do-
and
it just
shifted
doesn't
perfectly
bend.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, in my head, I'm thinking, if you tried this with any derailleur, like, it's,
Oh, be screwed.
It's destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, your
completely.
hanger is probably broken.
Yeah.
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 So not only is that derailleur assembly stronger, but the frames are also designed around a thickness that the UDH calls for.
Yeah.
So there's also, you know, a thick piece of alloy or carbon that, you know, is in between this derailleur as well. So
Yeah.
it's kind of fully optimized all the way around.
Yeah, but not only that, like, people are saying, oh, well, you know, it'll snap my chainstay or whatever. It's like, actually, isn't it like the load, if you hit something, isn't it being transferred hypothetically into the axle because it's basically interfaced directly with their axle threads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, instead
Yeah, well,
of...
the axle runs through it.
Right,
Yeah,
so
like
it's
that.
going to
So,
transfer
like-
any physical force to the axle instead of to your
Yeah.
chainstay. So, like, the idea that it's going to, like, snap your chainstay from hitting your derailleur on a rock is just kind of like,
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no way.
yeah, there's no way.
Yeah. I'm just going to say it's extremely robust. And,
Yeah.
you know, most crashes aren't going to hurt this derailleur.
Yeah,
at
most
all.
is in 99.8%
Yeah.
of crashes are going to
Yeah.
be absolutely fine with
Yeah.
this. Actually,
Obviously-
way better than a hanger.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything's breakable, so it's not unbreakable. But
Yeah. But we got
yeah.
a lot of comments on that, and I was like, listen, we got a lot of armchair engineers in
Yeah,
the
there
audience
was.
here. Like this
Yeah.
stuff is legit. Like, it is robust. It is strong. They've obviously tested it. Like, they've been testing this for years. It's not like they just come out with it and they're like, oh, you guys try it out and let us know how it works. You know, they've like been proving this stuff in the field.
Nino Shooter.
Shirter?
Shooter.
Nino
Shirter?
Shirter?
Shooter? I don't know how to say his name.
Anyways, Nino, the GOAT of cross-country mountain bike racing,
Multi-world champion.
The GOAT,
Yeah.
Everything.
XC
yeah.
GOAT.
actually crashed his bike on the right side, slid out at the last year's world champs, picked up his bike and kept riding, and it was a pretty decent crash that he probably would have had bad shifting and or needed a bike swap.
Wow.
And he had that derailleur on it, prototype form, and it was fine. So
Nice.
real world test.
Yeah. seriously, I mean, what more proof do you need?
Yeah.
Won a world championship.
That's pretty good. I think that's one of those things that people are going to eventually realize, like, oh, yeah, once they see it in person, they push on it. They see how it's designed.
Well,
they see how it connects to the axle.
I mean,
it's not going to be a
everything,
question
right?
anymore.
Yeah.
Carbon mountain bike wheels. Those are going to break. Yeah, a few did. A lot did.
Carbon
but
frames.
Like, they've gone around. Carbon frames.
Carbon frames. Everyone
29
carbon
inch
frames
wheels.
are basically made out of paper mache for like 6 years until they're like, okay, they work. I got one now. Like,
And then
it's like
29 inch mountain bike wheels. Those things can't handle a downhill load.
Yeah.
Oh, well, guess
Yeah.
how many World Cups those have won? You know?
yeah.
So it's
Those
just like
are bad,
everything,
yeah.
and, you know.
Yeah, true. There will be early adopters, and then eventually everybody's just going to be like, all right, yeah, we were wrong. Or they're not going to say that. they're just going to be like, yeah, I was wrong.
I will say, when it first was like announced and coming, I was like, cool, it's a new design, you know, mounts direct to the hanger, eliminates variables. There's no limit screws, which is really awesome. Like,
Yeah.
No
there's
high or
no
low limit
setup
screw and
or-
no B-tension
yeah.
screw.
So it takes away a lot of setup. Yes, with 12 speed was extremely sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
More so than like people realize, and you had to put the B tension gauge on under sag for it to shift right. So I thought that was cool, but I wasn't expecting transmission to be like, oh wow, I need this on my bike. You know, it's just like, yeah, that's cool. If I was a UDH bike, you know, slap it on, then
Yeah.
rode it, and it was like, oh, this like kind of changes the way you ride a bike a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Game changer.
especially in a race situation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of shifting under load.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which I don't think we got to necessarily
No.
just yet. But
No.
that's where I was getting, Jeff.
yeah, because it all connects. Wow, you went with the game changer before you explained why.
He was going there.
It's game changing because of the shifting under load.
You might say that yourself.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There was, oh man, I got to say it. There was a SRAM's sort of marketing pitch deck of this whole drivetrain system that they sent out. There's just no way it was put together by mountain bikers. It was like some PR agency that just tossed in, like they just looked up they typed into Google most game-changing adjectives, and they just used every single one over and over and over. Oh, we were just cracking up reading this thing.
It was written by somebody who just, I don't know, graduated art
Yeah.
school, and they are using every single synonym in the book.
Yeah, it was
Dude.
so funny.
He was like, the world is changed as you know it.
Yeah, it's a good mountain bike drivetrain, but
This
we didn't just solve global warming with a snap of the fingers or anything. So no one
That's how it was presented,
Yeah,
though.
it was presented like that.
It was
Yeah,
really funny. It's like, yeah, it's really good, but we have not solved world hunger.
Calm down.
Yeah.
It's good. It is good, but calm
But
down.
But
the
it
shifting under load is
Yeah.
very impressive.
It is
Yeah.
wild. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it immediately puts a smile of amazement on your face when you ride that thing,
Yeah.
and you can just shift unbelievably perfectly as hard as you're possibly pedaling.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. And,
I
yeah,
was,
it's
I was
wild.
riding it this morning and just like shifting mid switch back and just shifting where I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was just like having so much fun. Just like, it's like doing something that you know is wrong, but like it works.
Yeah, you're like deliberately abusing it.
Yeah.
And having fun doing it.
Yeah. And it just
It's like kind of masochistic
doesn't,
in a way.
yeah, it doesn't skip a beat,
Yeah.
skip a gear, nothing. It's just right there.
I'm also excited to see how it works on e-bike too, just because I've heard it like
Be even more
same
convenient
thing.
to be able to do that on an e-bike.
Right. Like, I mean, I've personally snapped a chain on an e-bike just from, you know, a bad shift or whatever, but
Yeah.
And it's harder to time your shifts on an e-bike too, because
Yeah.
you got that whole sort of delay before, well, the hub engages and then the
Right.
delay before the motor engages. So it's just more challenging to time shifts perfectly. And you
Yeah.
don't really need to time shifts on this. Like you can just
Yeah.
pedal away and push the shift buttons and then there it goes.
totally.
So, well, a couple important things to note. Obviously, this whole system only works on bikes that have UDH or designed for the UDH. And then it's currently only in access, so wireless electronic, premium level, XO, XX, and XXSL.
Yep.
So just the high-end stuff. That's,
Yeah.
which is typically, historically, how SRAM has released this stuff. They release
Yep.
like the two flagship versions of their new drivetrain, and then it trickles down to GX at a later point.
Yeah.
Will this come into GX and when? Who knows? Will it ever come with a cable? I don't know. I mean, who knows?
I think
what
they're
any of this
pretty
is.
adamant if the FAQs that this is going to be a wireless drivetrain moving forward forever.
Only. Yeah.
I mean, they could make obviously a cabled derailleur to mount, but I don't think they could do the whole no limits, no B tension thing with a cable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They might be able to, but you'd still have to adjust a cable and micro adjust it.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. Which is okay. It's like honestly, I think the coolest part, personally for me, is just like the, how it's mounted, which leads to the perfect shifting. You know, that's like, that's what I'm after. But yeah, I also did see that 5Dev is making chain rings for it. I saw him post it today, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So that way, eventually, you probably don't need to buy the whole kit.
Well, what's so different about the chain ring?
It uses a different chain roller diameter for the 12-speed versus old Eagle.
So it needs a proprietary chain ring?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's why also the cranks are different.
The
so
crank,
you can't just slap your old chain ring on
the crank, chain ring, and cassette are proprietary to itself. But they did say, like, if you wanted to put that chain ring, chain, and cassette on old Eagle, it would work. It just might not be as optimized for the shift ramps and the timing and everything.
Right, but not the other way around.
Like
you couldn't put an old chain on a new cassette or chain ring.
Yeah, the whole, drivetrain, cassette, chain ring has to be together no matter what.
Right.
So yeah, and it's also only available as a 5-piece kit currently, which meaning cassette, chain, crank and chain ring, derailleur, and shifter pod. So
yeah,
can't buy a la carte just yet.
Yeah, which will happen eventually, just like it did when they initially released Access.
And they'll have to offer spares too soon. And like you got to get a new chain, you got to get a new cassette, parts for your derailleur if you do.
And I was going to say the derailleur is now like I've seen photos that are broken down to like 10, 12, 15 parts that you can replace every individual part now.
Fully replaceable.
Which you couldn't on Axis before. You could only get like pulley wheels and the outer cage.
Or most derailleurs for that matter.
Yeah.
You can only replace like a cage and that's about it.
So now you can replace a lot of this derailleur. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they did a good job. They kind of thought of everything. But I'm not surprised. It's SRAM. I mean, there's a reason SRAM is a massive, prominent mountain bike drivetrain manufacturer because they know what they're doing.
Dare say taking over the mountain bike drivetrain world.
Yeah.
Yep. This was in February of 2020. I went to SRAM's Germany facility in Frankfurt. It was like a large, what was that? There was a conference for like SRAM's large distributors. Ironically, SRAM's 5 largest retailers in the world are the same size as their distributors. So you get to go if you're one of them, and we are. So that's why I went and why I was there. And that's where they manufacture and do all the prototyping for all of their drivetrain development. And it was unbelievable. I was shocked at the level of sophistication and the amount of tools and equipment and various things they had there, and I was kind of blown away. I was like, well, this feels a little bit more like NASA for mountain bike drivetrains. Like, wow.
Well, I remember
take it seriously.
Like, who's paying for all this? Yeah. I guess we are, because we all ride SRAM drivetrains.
That's true.
I remember you saying there's just like a setup on, being moved by a machine that was just sitting there running a chain up and down the cassette for your 150 hours or something.
Yeah, so it was like a glass box, and there was a cassette, like a whole drivetrain system in there, and it was motorized, so the cranks were just spinning, and then the chain was just shifting all the way up and all the way down and all the way up and all the way down. And there was probably 4 different cameras pointing at it, and then all these different lasers pointing at it, and there was 5 of these glass boxes. And they're like, oh yeah, those just run perpetually. And then that's what they're using to measure the wear and like analyze what it looks like after 1,000 miles versus 10,000 after 20,000. It's just like, what is going on here? It was
so badass.
Yeah, it was nuts. And it's like, well, that's just what it takes. That's what it takes to build premium level mountain bike stuff and continue to make it even better than it already is, which is already pretty good. So, yeah.
Innovation is pretty cool.
Innovation is cool, man.
Yeah.
So SRAM transmission. They also did, so just for clarification, it's called T-type, T-type. So like, or it's called transmission. It's kind of...
Or Eagle transmission.
Yeah, there's
Eagle
also
transmission.
Eagle transmission, which is abbreviated to ET. Yeah, they didn't really...
Yeah, the naming is a little confusing there.
They didn't keep it consistent.
Because it's not really a transmission, to be...
I did see a funny comment that said, should I buy SRAM transmission or replace a transmission on my Ford F-150? They're the same price.
That's what you wanted.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
But they did a good launch with that in the sense that all the prominent distributors and retailers had the stuff in stock. So like we were able to participate in the launch of the product and have all of it in stock and still do. So it's like if you're frothing for the latest and greatest, absolute best mountain bike drivetrain, we got it, which is cool.
Totally frothing, bro.
I'm frothing,
If you're
dude.
frothing. And if you're also, quick disclaimer, or just a note from me, if you've been on the Worldwide Cycler website in the last 3 weeks, and the filter menu, like all those various filters on the left-hand side, didn't work or were missing or were broken or looked wrong, I've been working on that tirelessly because it broke out of nowhere because of some weird API issue behind the scenes. And
He literally hasn't slept in 2 weeks.
Or the WWW.
Well, that's a whole other problem that should hopefully no one figures that one out. There's running a website at the size of ours is quite challenging and complex when you're on the budget of a mountain bike business. One day Bezos will step in and help us out, but until then, we're gonna have a few glitches on the website. And if you find them, please send us an email because it's really helpful to know if like something on our website's broken.
I don't know. Do you want Bezos to step in? Have you used Amazon and Seller Central?
Amazon does suck.
Do you want us to have P brakes?
The front end of that was funny.
Thank you.
That was a good little nudge there. That I wonder if people remember that when they were in the headlines for not allowing their Amazon delivery drivers to take a pee break, and they all were peeing in bottles. And everyone's like, "This is blasphemy!" And then every guy who's been on a road trip's like, "I pee in bottles all the time. What's the big deal?"
There's a difference between wanting to and not being allowed to.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a valid point.
But I think you were alluding to the fact that SRAM also released the stealth brakes.
Yeah, the stealth brakes, I think they were a little bit overshadowed because the drivetrain was so cool. And
Yeah.
Well,
drivetrain, to me, the drivetrain was a lot more notable and interesting. The stealth brakes were like, all right, cool. It's like a slight revision to the lever body.
Yeah, I was going to say, in all honesty, it's not really new.
Yeah.
They just kind of moved the master cylinder closer to the handlebar,
Reworked it a little bit.
reworked it. The internals, for the most part, are all the same. The brake pads are the same. They did away with G2 now in the stealth brakes, and now they just have level 4-piston or code. They have 2 levels of each.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
Does it
Cool
use
colors.
the same G2 pad?
The
Level
4-piston uses the same G2 pad, correct?
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Better update the titles of the brake pads on the website.
yeah.
Note to self.
Note to self.
Well, I'm not really the one in charge of that, so note to Pat or whoever does
Yeah,
that.
Pat needs a redirect on that.
Nice.
Or,
Yeah, those were cool. Whatever.
Yeah, the cables exit the lever body way more directionally towards the handlebar, which
well, even I'd say parallel with the handlebar.
yeah,
It's a good way to describe it on a podcast.
I
Yeah.
guess. Well, I feel like
Almost
sometimes it
slightly
points
towards
at
it.
Yeah, I guess it kind of does.
Well, put it this way: if you're running a handlebar bag, i.e., bike packing or something, or you run number plates often because you race a lot, this is actually a really convenient design setup.
Or have headset cable routing.
Yeah, or if your bike has headset cable routing, this is a way better sort of design for the angle of the hose to come out of the brake lever towards your, If you don't do any of those things, then it kind of doesn't look that great.
Yeah, it's probably not even really
In
worth
my
it.
opinion.
Yeah, I spent a good, I don't know. Jared stopped by my house last night, and I spent a good 30 minutes just figuring out how to run my cables on the new brakes and how to cut them. I was kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to have better routing with internal headset cable routing.
Yeah.
But I want to know who's
pushing
leading
that?
the charge for this.
The headset cable routing mafia.
They were just fine.
Yeah, somebody is the Illuminati.
Yeah.
For the
It's
last
behind the scenes here.
The last 3 to 5 years, tube and tube internal cable routing has been pretty good.
Yeah.
And our company, even Yeti, their new stuff, the way they tighten it up, and
perfect.
it's so secure and no noise.
Yeah, it's a really good design. the way they did it.
We don't need to go through the headset. So any bike company that's listening to our little podcast,
Please
don't do
please
it.
Don't.
Or just go ahead and read any of the literally infinite number of comments all over the internet amongst mountain bikers to tens of thousands just saying, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like, why are brands doing bike brands designing it like that?
And
I really don't
There's
know.
no reason for that.
I saw Commensal's Tempo did that, and then they came out with another bike that they went back and they they're not doing the headset cable.
Yeah.
routing.
Well,
This kind of feels like Super Boost. Remember when everyone's like, "Oh, Super
Yeah.
Boost is going to be a thing," and a few brands did it. Now they're like, "Oops,
yeah.
no one else
But-
did it. Everyone hated it. Never mind." That's happened
Yeah.
with Super
It's
Boost.
stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Tempo though is more of a short travel XC.
Right.
So maybe that's where they're going. Where the other bike they teased was a enduro bike.
Yeah.
The Forestall has internal headset cable routing, and I think it's better than most.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them go like through the stem, some go through spacers, and others just go right into the dust cover.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also inconsistencies there.
Yeah.
I haven't had an issue, but it is a little bit of pain if you want to swap brakes.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Or-
a little harder to work on.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. True.
Well,
Yeah,
Well,
that's
speaking
it.
of
Transmission.
speaking of bike stuff, Liam, how was Taiwan and the bike show?
the Taipei Cycle Show.
The Taipei Cycle
Taipei
Show.
Cycle Show in Taiwan. It was really cool. Yeah,
For starters, that's explain what it is.
Yeah,
What
so
is the Taipei Cycle
the Taipei
Show all
Cycle
about?
Show is more of a kind of vendor and manufacturing show versus your classic Sea Otter or what used to be Interbike, where brands are on display showing their product. There was some brands there, but it's more or less the manufacturers and the vendors who make products for the bike industry.
Very much an industry event.
Yes.
So people who actually are manufacturing products, utilizing various Asian manufacturers, you go and you meet and you talk about designs and look at stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah. So I went mainly on behalf of Trail One, and just meeting with everyone I've been talking to over the last 3 to 4 years that during COVID we've never met. They really like it when people go over there and meet them. It's, big respect thing to them. So it's cool to do that and just meet all these people that make our Trail One products, as well as just look at new projects and look at new, areas we can go Trail One. So yeah, it's super cool. And, the Revel Bikes guys were kind enough to let me tag along and show me the ways, and it was really cool.
yeah,
Nice.
that's pretty sweet.
That's rad.
And to add context, Trail One is a brand that we co-founded and spun up, how long ago? A year and a half ago?
November of 21, we launched that.
Yeah. The idea was to have a good outlet to build various mountain bike products that we've always wanted and design them the way that we want to design them. And we, tagged along with BKXC, Brian Kennedy. He's doing a lot of storytelling, and we have a whole component to the brand of giving back to trail networks for every product that sells. And then it's also just been a really good outlet for myself and Liam to do product development and design grips that we wanted and stem that we wanted. And we're going to continue to do that with more stuff. So if you guys have anything that you want to see Trail One make, let us know. Or just random questions about manufacturing of that stuff, because that's been a really fun project for us to do. We're enjoying it. I just think that, more businesses should make good premium level product, but also have a good philanthropic element to that business in general. So it's worked well for Trail One. And
Agreed.
Liam does a ton of the product development himself, which is why he went to the Taipei Cycle Show on behalf of Trail One.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was really cool just seeing, these brands and kind of talking to them about how stuff's made and just hearing more behind the scenes industry stuff that isn't really told, which is super cool and interesting. Had to sign a lot of NDAs, so can't speak too much on that stuff. But
Man can't talk.
but yeah, it was really cool and eye opening, and it got me really motivated for some projects
That's
to
rad.
start with Trail One. So
Did you see anything mind blowing that's going to revolutionize our ride?
That's what I was going to ask him.
well, Transmission was there. SRAM had a big booth, and
Oh,
that is
really?
game changing, revolutionary product that is
Whoa.
gonna completely change the way we ride bikes. So,
World changing.
yeah.
Wow.
I guess my question would be, so going there, did you, we have talked about the theory of sort of product innovation plateau, bikes not really getting all that much better, just small gains. Is that theory more confirmed or less confirmed?
It's definitely a little more confirmed, not to be super pessimistic, but I think especially this year coming
Reality's not always
Yeah.
pessimistic. It's just reality.
just coming out of the COVID boom and into where we are now and kind of this lull. It seemed like a little bit of innovation and then just a little bit of just a little bit of unknown. So
yeah.
yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
it's going to be tough to top, transmission release, in terms of innovation. this year.
We'll see about that.
Oh,
See if any of our listener questions have to do with that.
oh, that's right.
Let's jump into those.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hey guys, Jeff here. I know I promised the MTB podcast would stay ad-free and that I would never sell out, but I think I did add a disclaimer that if somebody paid us an exorbitant amount of money, I would sell out, and that's actually happened, so here's a legitimately paid ad. Hi, I'm Jeff from Jeff Valley Bank. If you've recently lost your money in a banking fiasco, we'd love for you to consider Jeff Valley Bank, a new AI bank that is a secure place to store your money. Based in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, we've been in business for 3 months, backed by the Bezos-Musk Billionaires Fund. Sign up today to get a bonus 6% APR on your new checking account and a free fridge magnet. Fridge magnet requires $2.99 shipping and handling charge.
And now, back to the show. Wow. Speaking of good points, I think this first question, I mean, it's something that I've thought about for a while, but
I didn't read any of
I
these.
never
I'm
really
unprepared
perfect
today.
because I want you to be flying by the seat of your pants.
Okay.
If mostly everything on a bike is measured in metric, including road bike wheels and tires, why are mountain bike wheels and tires measured in inches?
Doesn't make any sense. That's a super valid question.
I'll tell you exactly why, because I looked into it.
Oh, God.
It's because mountain bikes originated in the U.S. And so for that reason, we measure things in inches. It's literally that easy.
Yeah, well, the imperial system makes about as much sense as, I don't know, dipping dots out of a leather shoe.
Yeah. Two toucans living in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. But yeah, that is exactly why. It's because mountain bikes came out of America and we use that stupid imperial system.
Oof, that's a risky claim you just made.
No, it is. It's on a website.
Wikipedia.
On what website?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying.
Bike
There's
radar.
going to be 100 people from Germany like, no. It was invented here. That's not I just some liability
It was
with
on-
that
It's
answer.
pretty well
It's on a
known.
Wikipedia page
Cite
edited
your
by
source.
Jared
No.
Erickson.
It's
Cite
actually
your source.
Bike Radar, which is a pretty reliable source.
Let's hope.
It's pretty reliable, and honestly, I mean, what is there to dispute? Like, mountain bikes originated in,
I just think that people
Marin
might.
County and
Yeah.
Crested Butte, all these places where people started mountain biking.
So the bicycle didn't originate in America,
No.
which is why it's mostly in metric,
Right.
almost entirely in metric.
Right.
But the mountain bike,
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense.
I guess, and then the road wheel is 700C. There's a
Yeah,
lot of other weird
and
questions you could ask here
650B.
because, like, 700C, is a road wheel actually 700 centimeters? It's not.
And then why
What even is that?
650B?
That's irrelevant.
Why is it also
So,
not C? Why isn't 650C?
There is a 650C.
We are not bike
get out of
historians. We are modern day mountain bikers. Next question.
Next question. Why are some forks flipped upside down?
Because they want to be.
Oh, okay. Next question.
Move on.
I'm just kidding.
is that meaning
Like an
like
inverted fork,
inverted
like your
forks.
intend
Yeah.
fork. Yeah.
Man, that Intent fork. I
Oh.
just rode that Banshee yesterday. By the way, we custom built a Banshee Titan. Oh man, that is
You love
one
it.
that is one bike.
You love it.
Yeah, I rode it in Sedona, which I didn't really get the best test of it in Sedona because Sedona is such weird.
There's no
slow
perfect
paced
bike
riding.
for Sedona.
Except
Yeah,
for that
so-
last trail we rode. You rode
That's
that.
true.
Yeah.
that
perfect
was
for it.
the. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious because everyone was just glowing. That was the best trail. That was the best trail. And I said that was the least Sedona-like
Yeah.
trail in this entire place.
It's like
of
the
Sedona,
most-
and everyone loved it.
It's like the most desert
High
SoCal
speed,
trail there is.
fast,
Yeah.
downhill.
Yeah.
But we didn't even talk about the Sedona Bike Festival
No. Wait. Well, we were there. I mean,
because the last
yeah,
podcast
that's
we
true.
did was the day we arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still had a good time.
We had a great time.
We
Rode,
didn't do
it was a fun
much. We
festival. If you
rode
want to
bikes.
go, I highly recommend it. It's a fun place.
Yeah.
Hopefully they move it to April so it doesn't end
I
up
actually
snowing
heard a rumor
sometimes.
they're moving to August.
Oh wow.
Isn't it
Yeah.
hot there?
It
in
probably
August?
will be
Or
hot.
they're moving it. I heard they're
To the
moving to fall.
That's good.
Yeah.
Fall's
Yeah.
good.
Cool.
Nice. That's a good time for Sedona.
But so yeah.
So the
We just
inverted fork.
ADD'd off of that. The inverted fork. Yeah. So intend that. I'm still perplexed on Intend as a company. Maybe we could get their CEO on the podcast at some point.
Yeah.
Because what they make is just unbelievable in terms of suspension. They just
Yep.
came out with those
Those
crazy brakes.
Yeah.
My God.
Now you need
those
those.
brakes, dude.
You do need
I
those
know.
brakes.
I was looking at
You
those and I
know-
was like, oh, I want those so bad, but I don't want to
As-
pay for those.
As
They're like
good
$900.
as good as
I know.
SRAM brakes are, I was building that bike going, these brakes
Would
just
look so
aren't
good.
like boutique enough.
boutique enough
You
for
need
this
that
bike.
je ne
They're
sais
not
quoi.
boutique enough, but I will say those SRAM codes, they're so powerful.
Oh, they're amazing.
they're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, because I mostly ride that Revel Ranger, which I have those G2s on, which is my most commonly ridden trail bike that I use. And the G2s, I think, work great, and I enjoy them.
Yeah.
But those codes are like, wow, next
Yeah.
level. I have to be careful. Like, I have to, like, switching from those bike to bike, I'm like, well, I really got to.
And you do have those crazy Inten rotors, which might make them even more powerful.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, so that bike has the Inten fork. It's an inverted fork.
Yeah.
I did notice, though, a little bit more flex on that fork.
Interesting.
In weird situations. So there's that one on that one trail, which we call Tricycle Trail,
Yeah.
and Water Tower. These are all like weird, irrelevant
trails,
terms for
yeah.
everybody, but Newbury Park locals.
Jank trails.
You can do that triple.
Yep.
Or you can but yesterday it was kind of windy, so I was I would land in a manual. I would like basically double into a manual into the last little roller.
Well, if you try to make the triple now, it just hurts because the kid's like screwed with that jump.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's just kind of sketchy in the wind.
yeah, that too.
So I was just doing the double in a manual, and when I would like land on the back wheel in a manual, I could kind of feel a little. I mean,
like
negligible.
the fork kind of like bows out a touch. Yeah.
yeah, but so I don't know. It is weird, right? So that inverted fork, there's no arch there.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be hypothetically stiffer because the crown is thicker.
Yeah.
And the stanchions on the bottom.
But there is no crown
There's
in the middle.
right. That's
Yeah.
true.
Like
There's
a
no
normal
crown in the
fork.
middle, but like.
But
yeah.
that flex is probably good in other situations that you don't notice, but it probably tracks.
I know
better.
that was one of those things that it was so negligible. I kind of thought like, I felt that, but would I have felt it the same way if I was on a Fox 38 or a RockShox Zeb? And even though I felt it, did it matter?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'd have to do more back-to-back testing. But either way, that suspension on that bike, that intense stuff, because I have that rear shock too, I was just blown away. I was like,
Yeah.
man, this bike
And it
looks
is
good.
air quotes flipped upside down.
Yeah. Stanchions on the bottom.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop thinking about how nice how good that suspension worked and how just unbelievably amazing it looked, and then thinking, I just don't even want to. It's expensive,
Yeah.
So it's like, of course my Ferrari looks good. It's like, yeah, you should buy one yourself, peasant. It's just like, I don't know. I just have this like weird dichotomy in my head, like, should I tell people how good this is? Because it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest with the whole
Well,
situation.
I think it's one of those things
it was
where
so good though.
people
That
are
thing just
curious
floating on a cloud.
because it's like you obviously look at a Ferrari, Porsche, whatever. Like it's
Yeah.
fast. It has
And
like
people
the
idolize it, right?
reputation. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like this stuff, it's like it's kind of new, right? It's like relatively new to our world.
Yeah.
So people are like, wow, like is it better than for the Ferrari or the Porsche?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
so-
if budget is not of your concern, then yeah, I would ride that suspension. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
fine. But I also like rare boutique off the wall brands, and Intent is absolutely kind of
Yeah.
the pinnacle of that type of brand. So
But
to
to
bring it-
actually try to
Full
answer the
circle.
question,
Yeah. It's
what was the question again?
why are they upside down?
upside down in relevant terms to
yeah,
mountain bike
yeah.
suspension.
The stanchions
A lot of almost all moto forks are flipped upside down. The oil rests on the seals, which gives you better lubrication. So that's a big part of it. But I think on the mountain bike world, from the consensus is from like RockShox tried it with the RS1 a couple years ago. They just can't get the weight and the stiffness to balance for a mountain bike setup. Where moto,
mountain bikes are harder because of weight.
yeah,
Whereas
moto can be heavy.
Weight's not as
Yeah.
a thing.
So I think that's like the
Well, remember,
general.
I don't know if you
reason?
Fox tried it.
A DH.
The DH
Yeah.
fork, the Athertons were riding it, and there was all sorts of spy shots. It
Yeah.
never went to production, but it was a prototype Fox inverted downhill fork.
Which
So
is
they
crazy
tried
to
it,
spend
but
that
it
much
may have
money
been-
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it never went to
Yeah.
production. So
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, mountain bikes struggle with it because of the weight limitation.
Yeah.
That's more meaningful.
And then what? The Manitude Dorado that's
Yeah.
inverted. People love that fork. People
Yeah.
raved about that fork a couple
Yeah.
years ago, but kind of never went further. So
Yeah, and I mean downhill is just a sort of a niche category in
Yeah.
the mountain bike scene to begin with.
downhill's
so,
like F1 anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there you go. Why are
Yeah.
some flipped upside down? Because
yeah,
for some reasons, and they feel like it.
we got more fork questions.
The design is superior other than weight.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
There you go. Speaking of forks,
Speaking of forks,
is there a noticeable difference between stanchion sizes? For example, Nino Schurter won the XC World Cups with the 35mm stanchion Sid, and Brandon Semenuk won World Red Bull Rampage also with 35 millimeter stanchions on his Boxer. How is this possible? That was not a part of the question, but I added that.
Marketing just, makes it all no.
Well, first thing, the Boxer is a dual crown, so
Yes.
there's a bunch of added stiffness there. So it's almost hard to compare them.
And then the stanchion thickness is going to be different. The lower leg assembly thickness is going to be different.
Like the wall thickness of the stanchion.
Correct.
Instead of just the whole overall diameter, to be clear.
The OD is the same,
Right.
the outer diameter, but the ID, the inner diameter, is going to be basically smaller on the Boxer because it is going to require more stiffer
wall
chassis,
thickness
the
is
wall
greater.
thickness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Boxer also has a 20 mil axle. All the trail bikes have 15.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences going on here. I mean, typically, I guess if you look at Fox's line, it's very clear. The smaller diameter stanchions, the 32 is on the XC end, and then the 40 is on the downhill end, and then the 34, 36, and 38 are in between. Yeah. Right? So it's very chronological, makes a lot more logical sense. It's just easier to sort of understand. So, a smaller stanchion is lighter weight. It's flexier, but that matters less if there's less travel. And it's important if you want it to be light.
And those bikes kind of want it flexier. You don't want
they need
fork to be
some,
as stiff as a 40.
Yeah, they need some level of flex there. It's all use case dependent. Fox's lineup makes a lot more sense in that regard. If we're like you run a 32, it's their lightest fork. It's made for cross country. It's the shortest travel fork they have. Excluding the gravel suspension situation, but we're talking mountain bikes here.
Yeah.
And then the 40 is the longest travel fork they have. So the longer the travel gets, the more you require stiffness, the more you require various other things. And it just makes like Fox's lineup when you look at it, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. It's like, oh, okay, this all makes sense. 32 is XC, 40 is DH. All these other guys in the middle are somewhere else in the middle.
Yeah.
Where it gets more confusing is RockShox because they don't separate it as cleanly, I guess.
Yeah,
because they have that Sid Ultimate, which is an XC fork, but gets used as a trail bike.
Sid SL Ultimate.
That's the 32 mil.
To make it even more confusing,
And
Sid
then
SL.
Sid, what is it? Race Day is the 35 mil.
Just Sid.
Now
Sid
it's
fork.
just Sid.
Yeah, the Race Day is the better damper.
Oh, even more confusing.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they're playing with wall thicknesses and the big difference in axle between that and
then you have a Pike, Lyric, Zeb, Boxer going from the shortest travel to
but then it's like
travel.
they go, well, I mean, I don't know, you've probably seen black box Boxers out there that are probably 38 mil or 40 or whatever.
Yeah, they haven't.
The spot
They haven't said.
They haven't released those, but
Yeah.
it's going to make more sense eventually because it's going to progress to 35 mil, 32, 35, and 38 for the Zeb, and then whatever for the downhill fork. So,
like most things, it's just all related to your use case.
Yeah.
And if your use case is cross country and you want something lighter weight, you're going to have a smaller diameter fork and heavier, more durable, longer travel, bigger stanchion.
Yeah, but to answer the original question, there is absolutely a noticeable difference between stanchion sizes, depending on your use case.
Yeah, albeit it can be very confusing if you don't know all of the nuances between the 35 mil stanchion Sid and the 35 mil stanchion Boxer.
For sure.
Yeah.
But like for instance, just to go like black and white, if you put a 32 or 34 and then you put a 38 on your bike, you'll definitely notice it. I mean,
for quick reference, what forks are on your bikes right now?
Let's see. I have a Fox 34 130 millimeter on my El Jefe hardtail, and then I have a 160 millimeter Fox 36 on my SB 140, my Yeti SB 140.
Yep, I've got that in 10 fork on mine, which is inverted, and I don't even know what the stanchion diameter is. Do you guys?
No. Who cares? It's legit.
Who cares? It's legit.
I don't even know the travel. It's 160 or 170.
Yeah, I think it's 170.
That thing is amazing. And then I have the Sid Ultimate on my Revel Ranger, which is 35 mil, but like a really lightweight 35 mil.
Yeah.
The lightest weight, 35 mil.
Interesting.
What's on your bikes, Liam?
On my SP120, I have a Fox 36 at 140 mil. Or no,
134.
Fox 34. Sorry, 34 at 140 mil. On my Revel Rail 29, I have a RockShox Lyric at 160 mil. On my Forrestal Sirion, I have a Zeb at 170 mil. A 38
You're gonna have to cut it there
stanchions.
because we don't have all day.
Okay. Yeah. And I have a boxer on my Crestline.
Next question.
Bonus.
What?
Any
I
more
have,
bikes?
I have the Fox gravel fork to slap on the gravel bike every once in a while.
Yeah. That's right. I saw you putting that on your bike, and I'm just like, man, gravel bikes with suspension forks. Come on.
Opens up
Get
so
out.
many
You're
routes.
splitting hairs. Just splitting hairs.
Big routes, dude.
Splitting hairs.
So does my gravel bike with flat bars. That opens up routes.
Yeah, get a fork on it, then you'll be cool.
Routes. Yeah, then I'll have a hardtail.
Yeah.
With this old gravel fork.
Oh,
Splitting hairs. But I mean, bikes are about splitting hairs to some extent.
Yeah.
You know, from the outsider's perspective, someone would be like, you have a light trail bike, a downhill bike, and then a gravel bike. Aren't you splitting hairs there? Like, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
big hairs.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Huge
You know,
hairs.
I don't have a lot of hairs, so I just split them all.
Yeah. Like my chest hairs. Speaking of building bikes, this is an interesting
I
question.
don't really get this question, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I got it.
What would be your overall value bike build? No budget limit, but simply the highest miles per dollar.
The no budget limit is the part of that question
Yeah.
that's confusing. So just remove that. So I think what the question is what would be your overall value bike build? Meaning like what would it take to give you a great bike with the most amount of smiles?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Where is it diminishing returns on smiles?
Well, yeah, you gotta. To me, I don't know how to. I'd have to like add this up in a retail sense, but to me, if I were to build a bike to give me the most smiles per dollar, it'd be alloy frame, alloy wheels, GX drivetrain, really nice.
GX Access?
No, GX
Just
mechanical.
regular GX
yeah.
mechanical. Yeah.
If we're just trying to get budget, right? Mm-hmm. But have the best smiles per dollar, I'd have all that. I would go really nice suspension, so like top of the line RockShox would be my choice. Also a little bit more affordable than some, and really nice brakes, SRAM code brakes.
Yeah.
I'd even run alloy bar stem, and I'd run really nice tires, like Maxxis tires or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Honestly, I'd
Good
probably
answer.
agree with the exception. I'd probably run Fox because that's just my personal preference, and so I've been running for years now.
Have you ever had a RockShox bike?
I had a Zeb on my SB150 for a
Okay.
while, but then we put the coil in it, so it wasn't really like a true Zeb
Yeah.
anymore. But yeah, I've just like the Fox stuff right now. Have been for a while.
Yeah, both really good.
Yeah, but honestly, that's what I would go if I was going to go value. I'd probably do Performance Elite because I don't need Kashima.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Save $100.
Yeah.
I would say alloy frames totally acceptable as long as the suspension design is good.
Yeah,
that's what
of
matters way
course.
more than
Yeah.
carbon or alloy is just almost negligible now to me.
Yeah.
It is.
So I'm totally fine with a good alloy frame. Then beyond that, like totally fine with alloy rims. I think that's great. I would like a good high engagement hub on there.
Like an i9 Enduro S
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
54 points of engagement or greater.
or DT Swiss with your
Yeah, I'm running the XM 1700s alloy rim 350 hub,
Yeah, 54. Though.
54
Yeah.
tooth in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
54 is as low as I would go.
Yeah.
And then, what else? I don't know if I could do GX.
I mean, you could do
I
XO1
that
cassette.
bougie?
You could compromise.
I could do a GX derailleur, but I would need at least an XO shifter
for
just
that
'cause
feel. The feel is nice.
The feel gives me the smile.
I will give
right?
that to you 100%.
Like the feel to
Yeah.
me gives me the smile.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking like I'm trying to buy smiles here, like
Yeah.
that's what's going to make me smile. So
Yeah.
I got to have the nicer shifter just for the feel on there. And then of course good suspension matters, and I don't know, reliable dropper post,
yeah.
and I don't know. I think that's about it. I don't think you got to go too crazy,
No.
but
But we do. Here we are.
because we can.
Awesome.
I just named off how many forks I have. So
Right? Oh my gosh. Speaking of bikes, do you think modular bikes will ever be more common, such as what Gorilla Gravity is doing?
they're meaning modular as front triangle with different rear ends,
Right,
for
or-
different travel configurations.
Yeah.
I personally don't really think so. I think you're compromising in certain areas to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And I also think it's almost like, I don't know, there's two different ways you could look at it. It could also like potentially cannibalize your other bike sales, right? Like if you have a long travel bike, but you want a shorter travel bike, then you could just sell the links, then that would take away the sale of another bike. or then you're just keeping people in your ecosystem and they're buying more of your parts that you're producing, like to just change their own bike.
Well, the push and pull here and the compromise is economics and rider preference. But there's kind of a third part to it, right? So I look at it this way. You have what does the rider want? Then you have what makes economic sense to produce. And I guess there's two parts, but the rider part, what does the rider want? I think most riders at large, if I were to guess a percentage, I would say 80%, don't really need to get super in the weeds with this stuff of like, I want this head angle and this chainstay length and this bottom bracket height. Like, I just don't think it's necessary.
I'd say 80% don't, and 95% shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I would agree. Yeah, and then there's a lot of people. There's a cohort of people who, probably don't need to go that into the weeds, but they would be the first people to click and order a custom Geo bike.
Yeah.
And think they ordered the right thing for themselves, and then be like, I don't know what I did. So I don't know. There's always that, right? So there's the majority of mountain bikers. There's amazing products out there right now. The bikes that work make economical sense to make. They don't always have, not able to custom tune your seat tube angle and head tube angle, but you don't need to. The bike companies have figured this stuff out, and it's going to ride great, and you're going to enjoy it. Then there's a cohort of guys who want to mess with that stuff that probably shouldn't be, but it's fun. So that's all right.
Why not, right?
Yeah, why not?
Tinkers will tinker.
Yeah, and then there's the small percentage of elite level racers that are doing it for very specific use cases and can notice the difference and have a reason to have those changes. So it's kind of all over the place. So I don't know. I mean, it is interesting, right? You look at Atherton bikes is kind of doing that, or you can do like the custom Geo, sort of, maybe not. I mean, I
think this question's a little different though, in the fact that you're going the custom route, but Gorilla Gravity uses one front triangle and then swaps out the rear end for different travel configurations in that modular route.
Yeah.
So that's why I said I think you compromise things as far as frame stiffness or flex.
Or aesthetics. Because if you wanted a shorter reach on a Gorilla Gravity, you've got the steer tube all the way at the back of that giant head tube, and it's I think that looks ugly as ever.
And
I would agree.
And then, you have
a lot of people think it looks ugly as ever. So is that modular? Yeah. Is that economic sense? Because they only need one front triangle? Sure. But does it aesthetically look good? Not in my opinion.
No, not really.
So
yeah, I mean, I agree. And also, and I think personally, if I'm riding my bike and I want, it to be better on more gravity oriented trails versus something else, I'm going to just swap out my tires. And I don't want to go and mess with links and take my whole bike apart. And
well, I don't think most people should. I mean, I'm even on the opinion. None of my bikes have Geo adjust or headset adjusts. I just choose a bike that fits relatively close to what I like.
Right.
Messing with that stuff, you start messing with leverage ratios or reach or wheelbase, and you get in the weeds, like Jeff said.
Yeah. So it's pick your bike and just ride it everywhere.
Yeah.
Change your tires if you want to make it. Yeah. If you want it better for whatever.
Or just buy more bikes.
There you go.
It's almost, what's funny is that the way I think about bikes, which I don't think I'm too far down the rabbit hole, but pretty far, obviously, is very different than the way I play golf. So I don't really play golf, but when I play golf, I just think, I'm better if I just know what the club does.
Yeah.
So I know what an 8-iron does, so I just use that one.
I'm honestly right
I know how to use the 8-iron.
Yeah.
Can't hit woods, no chance.
Me too.
I know how to use the 8-iron. I know how to use the pitching wedge and the putter.
Yeah.
So I take 3 clubs and I play 3 clubs.
We are the same.
I can't hit very far because I'm only using an 8-iron, but I know what happens when I hit that 8-iron. So I play 3 clubs, right? Whereas most people play a lot more clubs than 3 because they know what they're doing. I don't. I know how to use 3 clubs. I play those 3 clubs. So some people should maybe think about bikes like that.
Yeah. We are the same golfer. Yeah. I think I could hit my pitching wedge.
Want to play par 3s?
Yes, I would love to. Go. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're only playing a par 3, your 8-iron's probably okay.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, I'm not going to a place that's not a par 3. It's above my league, man.
Yeah, I'm what is this, a par 5? All right, let me get my pitching wedge because I can hit it farther than my driver. It's all right, whatever.
You guys should maybe take some lessons.
Probably, that's a great idea.
Nah, I just play golf less as a solution. Ride bikes more.
Well,
I agree.
Speaking of teaching, what is the best way for this person to become a qualified/certified bike mechanic because they would like to do that?
I mean, I would just say start working on your bike is a good place to start. Also, Park Tool has a ton of free YouTube videos to help show you.
Yeah.
But if you want to get like legit qualified certified, one of the only places I know is UBI, Universal Bicycle Institute. I believe it's in Oregon, Portland maybe, or Bend, or Ashland, one of those. It's in Oregon, and they have full classes you can go to. I've never been, but
yeah,
cool.
there's never really been a sort of nationally or globally recognized certification program for a bicycle mechanic. Most people are self-taught and they get really good. And bicycles, let's be honest, they're not that complicated. Like these are not cars and motorcycles.
Yeah.
They're quite a bit more simple than that. But they're still technical and important to know what you're doing, of course. UBI's got a great course, and I think people do care about it, and it is a meaningful certification. However, if you really know what you're doing, you can roll up with your own bike and just even build one bike at a shop, and they'll watch what you're doing and be like, yep, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Yeah.
rocket science, so
Yeah. Nice.
I don't know.
yeah, I know USA Cycling has some certification for a race mechanic, but I think that's more like rules that you have to follow in like race course stuff. I don't think it's
Yeah.
like how technically good you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like many things, you can teach yourself a lot on YouTube's for free.
That's
Yep.
true.
The tube.
Tube.
The tube. All right, well, boys, we got to go because I'm hungry. I want to go eat dinner.
That's a great reason.
Yeah.
All right, let's answer one last question.
All right.
What is the best trail dog breed?
I don't know the answer to that.
I'm going to say like any cattle or herding dog.
I would agree.
Like a healer or-
a healer or a border collie.
Yeah.
They're also smart, but
None
they
of
can
us
also
have
run.
dogs.
No, we don't.
I really want a blue healer.
Jared has a cat.
I have a cat.
What's your cat's name?
Liam and I
Bean.
won't even take on the responsibility of a fish.
I wouldn't recommend it either.
No.
You don't want that kind of responsibility.
Jeff just said we have to go feed ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's enough responsibility.
And there's just not a lot ROI with a fish. You don't get any affection. You feed
get to
it.
look at it.
and
I mean, smile at
and
it.
you get to look
Fish
at it.
Feeds your soul.
Fish or a cat?
You feed fish to feed your soul.
The fish feed your soul.
Fish or a cat, you don't get much affection from either.
That's not true. Cats definitely
Cats
will
love
show
you, dude.
affection.
Yeah, cats love and snuggle.
But not to
and
strangers.
purr.
Depending on the cat, actually. I'm sure some strays will show you affection, but
Side note, I've been Jared's really close neighbor for less than a week, and his girlfriend's got my girlfriend watching their cat already when they go on vacations.
Is this true?
yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Taylor watched Bean. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And now they're best friends. So now you're screwed. She's got to come over and hang out with Bean all the time.
Yeah, she's like, oh, the cat's super nice. It's like super snuggly and everything. And she's like, Paige warned me it wouldn't be affectionate or nice. And she's like, but it's a really nice cat.
She's very sweet.
Yeah. I mean, I like cats. I'm definitely not one of those guys who's like, oh, you don't have a cat, man. You're not a man. Like, no way, dude. I had cats growing up and dogs, and the cats were great too.
They're great.
I just never met a cat that I liked, so.
You haven't ever met Bean.
There's a lot of cats out there, man.
Yeah.
Plenty of cats in the sea.
Yeah. Right? And they also serve good purposes, like farm cats. They're good for
We
rodent
are
control.
super off the mountain bike podcast topic now.
So deep.
Thank you very much. If
I want to talk more about Bean.
If you've made it this far,
Follow Bean's Instagram account.
follow Bean's. Bean is the name of Jared's cat. If you haven't caught that yet.
Something like that.
God.
Anyways, thank you very much. We appreciate it. What would really help us is if you left the podcast a review either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you type up a quick little review, screenshot it, and then you send that screenshot to podcast@worldwidecyclery via email, Jared will reply and give you
$15 gift card to the worldwidecyclery.com website to
it's like
use on
more
any
than
product
half
of your
off
choice.
a pair of grips, which is a pretty freaking good deal.
Yeah, or
man.
even like a free bottle of chain lube or something.
That's true. $15 actually gets you quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
On our website,
Chain lube is great.
full of 19,038 products.
19,038.
Water bottle.
Ooh, a trail and water
Free
bottle.
Water bottle, yeah.
Any kind of
So
water
leave
bottle.
us a review, and if you want to watch us on YouTube, it is on YouTube. If you're watching it on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up button and drop a comment and say something like, Jared's hair looks awesome.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Thank you for listening and or watching. We appreciate it. See you next time. Cheerio.
Cheerio.
Love ya.